Greetings! It's me, your lovable pickle. That is, if you actually watched my playthrough. If this is your first time meeting me, hi. I've been playing around with a little bit of modding. Nothing major, just some sound mods, but more importantly, RE Framework, which is the base script extender for the RE engine. It comes with a native FreeCam feature, and as a digital artist, that's perfect because it means I can get all of the reference photos I could ever want in real time, and I've been using it to make a lot of cool discoveries. So we're gonna start here in the Windward Plains. And the first thing I was really curious about is actually the giant fulgurate vein over here in this section. I just wanted to make sure that it wasn't connected to like a wormway or something, and so that's what we're gonna find out, right? And as you can see, nothing. But the entirety of the fulgurate vein is actually all here. There's no camera tricks, nothing. And it looks really cool. Part of the discovery that I made using FreeCam is that the entire world map is actually modeled, and all of the locales are actually in place in relative position. But we'll get to that when we get to that. The other thing that I wanted to check out here, just in the Windward Plains, was if the Wind's Gasp is exactly where it says it is. Oh hey look, an Arcveld. I've never hunted one of those before. But as you can see... Hey, what's that? Anyways, you can see the Ice Shard Cliffs because we're in the Plenty. The nice thing about the Plenty, and I may have to spend some points in each of the locales, but the Plenty has pretty clear weather and lighting, so you can pretty much see the whole map if you so desire. So starting from here, we're gonna go out of bounds and see all the cool stuff. And here we are, the Wind's Gasp. There is Raydow's nesting area. And you can see the Dune Sea, which is pretty cool. And over here we can see just the extent of how big the fulgurite deposit really is, and how it's sprawled over the mesas and everything. I think what we'll do is we'll head to the Scarlet Forest. There isn't too much to look around in the Scarlet Forest that you can't just explore on foot, but there is one little bit that I thought I'd mention. And this way, I also get to demonstrate that a lot of the locales in this game are actually fully walkable between. You don't actually need to fast travel to go between them. This was something they really liked to show off in the story because these would be walk and talk segments. But you can just run through. There's nothing actually preventing you from just taking that path again. And as you can see, we are now officially back in the Scarlet Forest. We go through a rocky pass, we follow the stream, all that jazz. Okay, here we are. Keep in mind that I'm recording this before the Mitatsune update. This actually might be our last chance to look at this rock wall, because the wormway over here kind of clues you in, but I've been here many a time to dive in to do all of the fun resource gathering nodes down there, but also it looks like that there's a land bridge there, and that's exactly what I want to confirm. So as you can see, there's rubble blocking the way right now, but we walk out here, and it's a pretty sizable looking arena underneath the wormway. Looks like there's even vine traps to, like, catch a monster in. I don't know if those are actually large enough to stop a monster, but it would be interesting. So I definitely think that when Mitatsune drops, this will probably be its nest, because it's got Leviathan water access. It's in the same body of water that Uthduna likes to swim around in. And it looks like there's even an exit point over here where there's more wormway. Although that looks to be... yeah, this is definitely the extent of the intended playable space. We can look under the water. Unsurprising, it's just a bunch of ruins. I think this rubble will actually be cleared up after the first title update, because I think that's when this area will become available. Because I do think it's going to be Mitatsune's nest. If I'm wrong, but it's interesting to look at for the time being. Actually, while we are here, and right before the inclemency kicks in, I did want to check out the lock, the Great Lake. Our screen space reflections are going to be suffering here, but I don't particularly care. Look at all of those cliff-top dwellings over there. Obviously, this is still plenty of stuff that you can see in-game normally. I just wanted to go take a look because, after all, the entire Eastlands is modeled. It's crazy. Mind you, it's not really high poly, but everything is in its relative position to every other locale. So it's really fun to just go through and look at everything, because this is how it's all laid out. It looks like we actually get a sort of glimpse as to what the giant tree structures were, more or less. They've got domes. Maybe they were some kind of terrarium? It's hard to say, but I guess this one is an indicator that a lot of them have had their domes collapse. And of course, as with everything in Wilds, you can actually see a lot of the other locales from certain vantage points in the current locale. So, near center of the screen right there, that's the Wind's Gasp. And once again, as we make our way over to the Oil Well Basin, we're going to be walking there, because the game absolutely allows you to. There's no load screen, there's no teleport, there's a little bit of a hitch in performance, but it wouldn't be Wilds without that, now would it? Oh cool, we're coming here during the fire spring, eh? That's fun. So one of the big shockers about the Oil Well Basin is that it's actually a pretty subterranean region. You kind of take it for granted, but there's not a lot of sky exposure. It's just a lot of this rocky terrain. And oh my god, it looks like a hellscape right now. Yeah, it's crazy to think people live here amongst all this. And if we actually go back to the forest area, the map has deloaded pretty dramatically, but this is still recognizable as Area 8. Here's even the little cave that you can have the pop-up tent in and everything. So, as you can see, once again, everything is in its relative position. It's just a matter of whether the higher res meshes actually load in. Oh, whoa. Actual instance of Cranadeath hunting. I haven't seen that yet. That was cool. Anyways, here's where the walkability of the entire game world kind of gets put to rights, so to speak, because this is one of the few teleport transitions. We'll walk down this wormway. Yeah, and as you can see, there's no reason to really go on from here. This is a teleport over to the ice shards. I'll explain in a second why I'm totally fine with that. But first, let's do our civic duty and actually go down the wormway with FreeCam. Because I do wonder just how much of this wormway is modeled. And, okay, up to there. So, up until the point where it's reasonable to disappear from your sight, and because the fire spring is going on, the wormway is all glowy and awesome. Pretty cool. We've teleported here all the way to the Ice Shard Cliffs. And I do mean all the way. You'll see here in a second. My next order of business is going to be to climb to the top of the cliffs. Because this is the locale that reveals the most about the map, besides Suja. Suja is the real eye-opener, but you'll see. Alright, here we are. We are now in the Plenty. And this is the part where the game absolutely amazed me. Like I said, the entire map is modeled with all of the locations in their actual relative positions. You can see at the center of the screen, we've got the dam, the Great Lake. We've got the oil well, mid-fire spring. You can still see the Wind's Gasp. And here, we can obviously see why exactly you have to teleport to the Ice Shard Cliffs. Because, boy howdy, legging it all the way from there to there would be a huge pain. It would be cool. Like, don't get it twisted, that would be extremely cool, but it would be a massive pain. A cool bit that I've discovered is that there are Hirabami that hang out up here that don't get counted as being in the locale. I think whenever the Hirabami aren't in the cliffs, they just come out here to hang. Yeah, they're just hanging out.
A potential target has appeared. Check your map when you're ready.
Now, some parts of the city are better modeled than others because you're actually intended to walk through them. But I'll demonstrate that here in a second. I just want to take the time to like look at everything because it's kind of insane. Here we are, walking down the walkway in-game. There are items and everything here along the way. Nothing super major to make it like a gather route, but it's a fun little thing. And of course, now, at this point, we have the cliffs deloaded, and we have Wyveria proper loaded in. There's only one real place that I want to look here once we're in the ruins. And if you played the story, I think you know exactly where I mean. We are now closing in on the Dragon Torch to see if it is exactly where it is in the story. Isn't that wild to think that this is exactly what the ruins were like before they got botched? Looks like we're coming to a Terminatus. I don't think we're getting to see the Dragon Torch. Womp womp. Unless... yeah, no. Alright, now we are going to go down the Keeper's Byroad, which should take us to Suja. No teleports. So we get to walk through the ruined city again. Now this one is surprising because there's not even a walk and talk to happen here. So I'm actually surprised that this one is fully here, but it's awesome. We're here at the foothills of Suja. We came here all the way from Wyveria.
I'll just hop off for now.
Just like everything else, we can actually fly out and see everything. The other nice thing is, because we have Suja loaded in, we don't have to contest with weather. Right next to the byroad to Suja. I don't know if anyone's picked up on this, but this is actually Jin Dahad's arena. Here is, I think, area 2 of the peaks. This is the main area where you fight Jin, and over here are where the Hirabami sleep. Which means that if we push a little further out in this direction, we can get to area 1. Yep, and here it is. Here's area 1 of Jin Dahad's arena. It's actually all loaded in while you're in Suja. Which is, you know, it makes sense. It's right next to it. Why wouldn't it be? But what's also funny is that the base camp isn't here unless you're actually doing the quest with Jin Dahad. And if the road truly is self-evident, maybe we can keep following it to back near the cliffs area. And just like that, Bob's your uncle. The path really was self-evident. It may not look it, but this is actually the low poly version of the cliffs. And the main reason why I can tell this is the floating debris doesn't really show up anywhere else in the ruined city, so it's kind of the clear indicator that you're in the cliffs. But also, here's the top area. And there's the Hirabami cave, and this is where the Watchtower camp actually is. Which means that this is the exact spot that we were when we were exploring the cliffs. So how do you like that? Jin Dahad's arena really actually is connected to the Ice Shard Cliffs. Just the utter scale of this game is incredible. So what we can see here, obviously, there's the Oil Well Basin. Right above it is the path that we walked from the Scarlet Forest. Like I said, the dam is right there. This rift, there's a lot of these mystery rifts that branch out. And I don't know if it's like remnants of the cataclysm that Zoshia caused, but there's also a whole bunch of craters on the outside of the Bailey. So I don't know if that is the war in question. Was it the Dragon War? Or if it was just the kind of destruction that Zoshia wrought before going dormant, but it's kind of crazy, right? Alright, I thought I'd just try this little off-the-cuff, sort of like a boundary break video. You know, I'm nearing 200 hours in this game, and I've got a lot of insight, and I know exactly the kind of stuff that I wanted to see. But if there's more stuff that you'd like to explore or see me explore, leave a comment down below. This was a nice little video to put together in this lull right before the first title update, and I figured why not strike while the iron's hot. Anyways, hope you have a good one, and see you next time.